Well, that was the first time because it was
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Ann Ruby. It is my privilege to be the chairman of this group. You guys, we got to cut the cross chatter, please, so everybody can hear and we can all stay focused. A couple of bookkeeping, housekeeping things. There's a sign-in sheet over here. If after you leave you'd like to get on our email list, please sign in. And the restrooms are just through the arches to the left, because there's a lot of new faces in this room. So we don't, we videotape these meetings and post them on our YouTube channel, which is Beachside Neighborhood Watch. So you can find it there. And if you get on our email list, there's always a link to the YouTube in the bottom of the email. First thing we start out with are code and police reports. So we're going to start with Captain Trish Loomis from the police department.
I will be quick because I know you're not here for me. So just to give you a little recap, in the last 2 weeks for our district alone, we have answered 1,124 calls for service, wrote 163 reports, wrote 80 citations, made 20 felony arrests and 36 misdemeanor arrests. So they're out there busy working. We did our traffic initiative this past month. We did it on North Halifax from University to the northern city limits because I know that everybody was complaining about the speed because of the construction. I don't have an exact total, but we did write a lot of tickets up there and hopefully slows some people down for the time being. We did focus on quality of life issues, so hopefully you've noticed a difference, especially at Speedway and Ridgewood, so we're doing what we can. Just to give you some quick stats, in the last 2 weeks alone, we made 1 arrest on Beach Street, 11 on the Boardwalk, and 4 on Fremont. So they're out there doing as best as they can with what we're dealt with when it comes to the legal terms of things, but they're out there working hard. The month of October is extremely busy for our officers, so please be patient with them and mindful. We've mandated our pretty much whole department for patrol-wise for every weekend of October except one. So this weekend starts Trucktoberfest. We have about 50 officers out Friday and Saturday. If you've never been around for Trucktoberfest, you're in for a real treat. Hopefully the weather helps us out. But we will welcome them to Daytona and remind them who we are, and remind them to be respectful of our residents and our community. But we're getting ready for that for tomorrow. We have a weekend off, and then we start Biketoberfest, and then Bethune-Cookman Homecoming. So our officers are very, very busy. We're prepared for the busy month of October, and we'll be out there in full force. So,
All right,
thank you.
Okay, next we'll hear from Code Compliance Officer Roosevelt Butler. And normally we do allow Q&A in this portion, but we're not gonna, so if you have any questions for Mr. Butler, please find him during the meeting and ask him. Thank you. Aside.
Good afternoon, everyone. On the behalf of our office manager, Mr. Denzel Sykes, as well as our field supervisor, Mr. Mark Jones, as well as Mariah, who's over this particular area, if you believe in God, please say a prayer for her because she's going to have surgery on tomorrow. So she'll be out 3 to 4 weeks. And as Ms. Ruby stated, I'm Officer Roosevelt Butler. Today I have a couple of things that Denzel gave me some marching orders to share with you. 999 North Atlantic. Are you familiar with that property? Yes. Okay, just to let you know, some great things are happening. We are moving forward with that property, meaning it's headed to court. My understanding is the property is unsecured and apparently someone is doing work without permits. But just to let you know, we know on the weekends when we're not working, or Mariah normally works on the weekend, but people normally do things they're not supposed to do. They try to get the work done, but you know what's done in the dark always comes to the what? Light. In this case, it has come to the light. So we're gonna move forward. It'll be in court, so whomever owns that property, they will have their day in court to explain why they're doing such things. As we know, the month of October, we know that is Bike Week. So that starts the week of the 16th through the 19th. As code, we will be out. Just we will be transparent. But our main focus during that time, we're going to concentrate on illegal parking on vacant lots. Okay? She said hold the questions until the end, but that's all I really have to share with you today. But thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Next, I'll give you the Secretary Treasurer's report. The PO box was paid for, taking the balance from our general fund down to $831, and I didn't make this print big enough for me. $631. All right, take my glasses off. And in the barbecue fund, the balance is currently $3,022. So we did renew the PO box for a year, and that's the Secretary's update, Secretary Treasurer's report. This is the meeting where we have board elections. Absolutely nobody stepped up to run. So we have our current board. I'm chairman, Ted Hordecki is vice chair, Jared Huffbauer is secretary treasurer. We have Sue Odina, Ken Strickland, and now Kelly, where are you? Kelly Barzak. Who am I forgetting? No? I'm forgetting someone, and I apologize. Vern. Oh, Vern. I'm sorry, Vern. I'm a little bit frazzled tonight. So all in favor of re-electing everybody who's in their current position? Raise your hand. Aye. Okay. All right. Anybody who's opposed, you should have run. Okay. Next, we need volunteers for Bike Week, for Biketoberfest, and if you want to volunteer, Vern is going to be taking lead on that since Ted is out of town. Thank you, Vern. Much appreciated. Now Joe Callis is going to pass the hat. And the hat this week, usually it's for the barbecues that we do for the first responders. But this week we're going to do make the donation to the Lady of Lords, the people who run the Saturday community breakfast. They meet the third Saturday of every month, provide services much needed for homeless people. Not only do they feed them, I think about 220 last month, wasn't it? And there's showers and haircuts and things that make having a civilized life possible. And so that's where we're going to donate our money, because our Lady of Lords lets us use this space for free. It's wonderful, and we're grateful. And we support their mission. Okay. So one of our meetings, we had a guy from FPL come in, Tony, and he said, Tony Tucci, if you report empty polls to me, I'll get them down. And we have had people who have reported a few empty polls, they come down right away. So Vern and Sharon, we have to give them a round of applause. They reported 26 polls on South Peninsula, from Orange Avenue to Towns, right? So 26 polls are coming down. So please, if you have want to join the empty poll patrol, please just be in touch and we'll work to get them down. Thank you. Okay. If you know of a beachside business that would like to come and present to us, just give them my number. It's right there on the agenda. We have city commission meetings coming up on the 17th and October 3rd. Oh, geez. I didn't update that. I'm sorry. Sue Odina, Sue, where are you? Raise your hand, please. You want to stand up? That's Sue Odina. She's our board member. She's also on the sesquicentennial committee and is looking for history on the Seabreeze neighborhood. So anybody you know in the Seabreeze neighborhood who has historical knowledge, please see Sue. That would be great. Upcoming events, or upcoming guests, we have Mike Chitwood coming next month, November 6th. December 4th is Matt Reinhardt, and then February 5th is going to be Cyrus Callum from the airport. He's an interesting speaker. Our meeting date in January is set for January 1st, which is our normal meeting date, first Thursday. Rather than have a formal meeting, is there any interest in just having a community get together and have a meal together? If you want to do that, raise your hand, and then we'll expect to see you. Okay, 2 people, 3 people. Okay. Well, we'll just maybe make it a smaller group. Well, I'll be in touch with you guys. Okay. We want to thank Lady of Lords for letting us meet here. We want to thank Hillary and her crew for always keeping the AV up to date for us. And now we're going to acknowledge the elected officials. I think the only 2 I see are Monica Paris. Where are you, Monica? There's Monica. and Jeff Brower, County Chair Jeff Brower. And who else? Matt Reinhardt, are you there? Oh, yeah, there you are. All right, Matt Reinhardt. Oh, yeah, and Nancy Miller. Yeah, sorry. And then our board members, which I've already acknowledged, Vern, I still can't do it, Vern, Sue, Kelly, Ken, why do I try to do this again? Me, Ted. Okay. And now, oh, Monica wanted to let you know she did bring in flyers on Transform 386, and the city manager's update, which is always informative and wonderful. So pick those up over here on the table. And now we're going to get to the candidate forum. So our two candidates are Nancy Miller and Mike Poniatowski. And so we're going to ask them to come up here. We'll give them a microphone. I don't know who wants to go first. We're going to alternate. If you go first, get the first question, then you get this next question second. What?
Oh, somebody said the chairs are too high, I wouldn't make it up.
Okay, and we have a bunch of questions here that we've kind of compiled, and we're going to ask that candidates please provide answers, and the answer can be yes, no, and it is also acceptable to say, I don't know at this point. What we are trying to avoid is filler, just plain filler. We're looking for where you stand on things. So I'm hoping that you can provide us with some concrete answers to our questions. And here we go.
Can we take a minute first to introduce you?
Oh yeah, no, that's right. I'm glad someone is paying. I just moved unexpectedly and I am completely brain dead, so I apologize to my board as well. And thank you, Nancy, for the reminder. So do you want to go first? Nancy's going to take about 2 minutes and tell us, did I say 2 or 3 minutes in the original? 3.
Whatever.
Okay, all right, thanks.
We'll be fine, I'm quick. Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Miller. I am the very, very proud mayor of Daytona Beach Shores and have been doing that for 7 years now. I was elected in 2018. I had an opponent and then unopposed in 2022. So I will be termed out next year, and I wanted to bring all the lessons that I learned as mayor of Daytona Beach Shores to the county. I have a wonderful husband, Ed, right here. We've been married for quite a few years. And I gotta say, last weekend, my husband was in Desert Storm. His unit got activated. I was the head of the family support, and we went back up to Ohio, and he got to reminisce with all of his friends. I'm rocking pink today because I'm a breast cancer survivor. I know of other survivors in the room, and if you're one of them, thank you very much for your support when I went through my journey, and I will always support you when you go through yours. Just a couple of things. I'm the chair of I'm the president of the Volusia League of Cities, and in that capacity, I get to work with every one of the cities in Volusia County. And I'm also on the Florida League of Cities Executive Board. So a lot of experience that I'm able to bring to my city and to my county. So I'm always quite to the point. So Mike, I'm going to turn it right over to you. Are we switching? Do we have our own mic? We have to switch.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Nancy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Poniatowski, and I'm your at-large candidate for Volusia County Council. I am a 55-year resident of Volusia County. I grew up right here. 47 of those 55 years, I have been boots on the ground in public service to Volusia County. I started as a volunteer firefighter in Allendale for a number of years. Then I became a law enforcement officer, and I was a law enforcement officer sworn in Volusia County for 36 years. During that time, I also became a nationally certified paramedic and EMT, and I performed those duties with the county ambulance service as well. The hours back then were great. I could work both jobs. I helped form the modern ambulance service we have now in Volusia County. I helped form the Air One program with the Sheriff's Office. I was one of the first paramedics, and I was a Marine deputy. I also served overseas as a contractor for the Department of Defense, and I was in Operation Enduring Freedom during the run-up to ISIS. Scary times. I came back from overseas, and I ended my career, retired, as the emergency manager for Advent Health Corporation. I did that for 11 years, and now I'm retired, thank God. I've been married for 38 years to my wife, Lydia, back there. I have 3 daughters. I have 3 granddaughters, and my brand new little grandson who's back there visiting today, Will. He's a cutie pie. But I'm running a grassroots campaign. So I need your support, and you should vote for me. Don't vote for me because you don't know me, but get to know what I'm about. I'm about making sure that you guys are safe. I'm making sure that taxes in Volusia County are equitable. There are a lot of things that we don't have control over right now. We have politicians who are running our cities and our counties. We need to change that. We need citizens, which is the way the country was set up to run for office. Time up?
I don't know, time up? No, okay.
Oh, okay. I'll keep going. Anyway, I am committed. I'm a local. I know what Volusia County needs. I know what the city needs. I went to Seabreeze Junior, which is where Daytona Lagoon is now. Went to Seabreeze Senior. Bud Asher, one of the mayors of Daytona, was my football coach at Seabreeze, and then he was my basketball coach and football coach in Spruce Creek when we moved there. So I've been around a long time. My first job was running a beach stand on the beach just south of here. So I grew up here. My dad had a business in Daytona Beach Shores for 44 years. And I was a Daytona Beach Shores cop for 5 years. And I helped start the SWAT team back in the 1980s at Daytona Beach Shores. So I've been around. I've walked the walk. I've talked the talk. I know a lot of people in Volusia County. I know what their issues are. Right now our issues are overdevelopment and flooding. I live in an area called the Tomoka Farms Village that we never used to flood until development moved next door. My property has been flooded. My neighbor's property has been flooded. A lot of neighbors' property has been flooded. Transform 386 just rebuilt my very next door neighbor's home because it was destroyed by flooding. Sent him into cardiac arrest. So almost time's up, great. We need to fix these problems. I have concrete solutions because that's what I do. Solve problems. I'm an emergency manager by trade. So thank you. God bless you guys, and let's have your questions.
Yes, the mic, so you can let him go
Yeah,
first.
no, yeah, we're gonna just.
Alrighty.
Thanks.
What happened? Oh, thank you. We're gonna just, yes. So here's the first question for Mike. The questions are gonna be timed, and that lady over there in the pink shirt, Sharon, thank you, is going to, she'll wave her hand when you're almost done, and you'll hear the buzzer go off when the time is up, so.
And how long is the time?
2 minutes?
Okay.
We'll go 2 minutes. Because some of the questions are kind of complicated. Would you support the repeal or amendment of SB 180, and what actions would you take?
So Senate Bill 180 is a travesty to home rule. And we are one of the first counties in the state to adopt home rule. Home rule means that we run our county. We set the rules and regulations because we know what's best for our citizens and our environment. Senate Bill 180 threw that out the window. It was a bill under the guise of an Emergency Management Act to help homeowners rebuild more swiftly after damage from hurricanes. It came after Hurricane Milton, looking at Ian and Milton and Nicole, which devastated the shores. But at the dead of night, the Senate put in a couple of other chapters of that Senate bill that took away our ability to handle development, took away our ability to have zoning restrictions in certain areas, took away a lot of our abilities to control our land use. And it gave it to who? The developers. It now sits in Tallahassee, where Tallahassee can say, nope, sorry county, I know Volusia County, I know the Shores, I know Ponce Inlet had enacted a number of wonderful stormwater amendments and initiatives back in 2024 and in the beginning of 2025. When SB 180 was passed, that's all out the door. So all that good work done by our local governments, cities, and the county are now null and void. Orange County and Seminole County enacted rural boundary amendments. So they're fighting that. There are 25 cities and counties that are now suing the state. So yes, we need to step up and take home rule back because it's our home rule. That's why it's called home rule. We need to run our own county, not Tallahassee, not the politicians in Tallahassee, and not the developers, because it belongs to us. And I am doing this because of my daughter back there and my grandson back there, because I want to be able to leave my property to them when I pass on. And right now, I had a wedding in my home in February. In October of last year, I had 3 feet of water where we sat, our guests. That needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann, and I think you asked us too what we're going to do about it. I know we have a lot of issues here, but I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do about it. So first of all, Senate Bill 180, when you talk about home rule, if you're familiar with Florida League of Cities, that is a lobbyist in the whole state of Florida that lobby for home rule. I'm on the executive board of that committee, and by the way, I'm also a 5-time recipient of the home rule. So I understand it very, very well. So far as Senate Bill 180, I wasn't happy with some of the things that are in it, taking away home rule. I was very, very happy how it's going to protect our citizens and our residents that was devastated by hurricanes. So what I'm going to do, how I do everything as a mayor, I act with diplomacy. So my first step is reaching out to my residents. How do you feel about this? We talked about it on our dais, and then the chair sent us a memo that said, please support these 2 amendments. So they're for section 18 and 28. Those were the only ones they really had problems with. So we passed that resolution in Daytona Beach Shores. We sent it on to the county and say, yes, we will stand with you. But what I'm going to do personally is the relationships that I have with the legislators. I reached out to every one of them and said, this is the issue we have. Yes, it was a good bill, but this is how it hurts the cities and the home rules. This is what we need changed. And I did get a commitment from every one of them that will say, yes, we will look at that. We did not realize some of the things that happened in it. And other things I want to tell you that we do at a high level. In Volusia County, we are part of the legislative committees for the whole state of Florida. So we go before them and we put priorities that we want our legislators to talk about when the session starts. One of the 5 committees we have is going to be exclusive on Senate Bill 180. So as I said, we're doing many different things. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello? Thank you. Okay. And I do want to remind candidates to please, what specific actions you would take as a member of the county council, because that's important. So what kind of actions would you take? What would you support as a county council person and be vocal on and follow through on to alleviate the chronic flooding in Volusia County?
So right now, I have already taken actions. There is a lot of people that talk about flooding. I'm taking action. I am right now the co-chair of a stormwater mitigation committee that encompasses every single city in Volusia County. What that does for us is the collaboration, and that's an overused word, but if this problem's going to be solved, it can't be solved in DeLand and in Daytona Beach Shores. We need everyone, every municipality in the county to work together. So Jake Johansson is our co-chair. We've met several different times, but guess what? We have not just the cities there. We have had Florida Department of Transportation there. We've had St. John's Water Management there, the American Flood Coalition, and then we have all the support of people from the county there. Ben Bartlett, that knows about this flooding better than anyone else. So we get there and collaborate. And then Monica, thank you so much for bringing that in about Transform 386. That's one of the things we're telling you too. Here's the problem. These are the solutions that we're working on, and I will continue to do that when I'm on the county council, because that's very near and dear to my heart to be speaking up. But I can't tell you how important relationships are. I have a relationship with every city manager and every mayor in this in Volusia County. I'm able to pick up the phone and say, what are you doing? What's happening? But I also can go one step further. I just came off of being the president of Florida League of Mayors, so that's the president for every mayor in the state of Florida. I can pick up the phone. I have one of my best friends in Sanibel Island, if you know. They were devastated by flooding. Pick them up. What did you do? What am I not doing? How can I help you? And I'm proud to say I was the only elected official from Volusia County that was asked to go in front of a special select committee on flooding for the House of Representatives and the Senate in Tallahassee to bring our issues forward. I will continue to do that on the county council.
You know, the time for talk is over. You can see it in the paper every day, on the news every day. social media every day, we're still flooding, regardless of the meetings, regardless of the relationships. And I know relationships, because relationships are how business gets done. But we need action. We need our governments to fight for us. We need to work hard to make sure that they understand what our needs are. We need them out in the trenches with their hip waders on, coming to our homes, coming to our properties, and seeing what's flooding and where that water is coming from. Now, granted, we have really built out Volusia County in the past 60 years. We have bulldozed and drained and put impervious surfaces on a lot of the county. So what happens when you do that? That stormwater has to go somewhere else. Where does it go? It goes into 50 and 60-year-old mosquito control ditches. And it has to then make its way to Spruce Creek, to the rivers and the ocean. Our stormwater system really has not been updated and modernized in about 50 years. Yes, we can clean ditches, and yes, we can clean storm drains, but that's not enough. So when I am on the county council, and you elect the right people to help us make decisions for the citizens, we're gonna put a pause on development so that we can take a look at what is happening with the county. We need to make sure that we are doing smart development. I'm not against development, but it needs to be smart, and property owners have rights. They have rights not to be flooded by someone else's stormwater. And that's happening across Volusia County every day, day in and day out. So we need new leadership, new ideas, new engineering studies, and money is not the problem, to look at our system, redevelop it, put in some modern things like pumps, which work. I've been to Galveston, I've been to New Orleans, I've met with those emergency managers, I've seen what they've done. Is it time? Sorry, I thought there was gonna be a timer over there. But I'm gonna work hard to remediate the flooding for real, not talk. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm
and
gonna
so,
stay with you for the next one too.
yeah, that's how we're doing, yeah. But I'm gonna kind of step a little bit of, these next are related to flooding, but very specific. So the answer I'm looking for is yes, no, or it's more complicated than a yes or no. That's all I'm looking for. Okay. Are you in favor of bringing forward a strong rural boundary charter amendment for the voters to approve?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then Nancy?
Yes, and I know right now that's gonna go on the county council, but you have you state that, but that because of SB 180, it's restricted, but yes.
Yes, okay. The next yes or no that's kind of related to this. Are you in favor of making low impact development mandatory and scrapping voluntary with incentives? Yes, no, or it's too complicated for a yes or no?
It's too complicated for less
Okay.
no.
First thing we gotta do is get rid of SB 180 so we can do these things. But can you ask the question?
Yes,
one
I
more time?
can.
Sorry.
Are you in favor of making low impact development mandatory and scrapping the voluntary with incentives?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
No mitigation banks.
Okay.
Lots.
That's all we're looking for. And our next one that's kind of the same format as that, our current land conservation goal is 50%. We're at around 35%. Would you be in favor of increasing our conservation goal? Thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and then,
I believe we're currently, is it 38% or is it 35? I thought it was at
Okay.
38%, all right. And I think it would take time to get up to 50, but that's certainly something that should be our goal.
okay, all right. Okay, so now we're switching to another topic, which is, what would you propose, how would the county raise money if property taxes are going away?
I deal with that question every day in the city, what would we do? So again, I'm trying to use the relationships that I have with the legislators. Some of them came from the city, the ones that did not come from the city, I need to sit down with them and say, this is what will happen. I think it's a little premature right now that we're talking about that because there's so many more variables that are gonna be going out. The homestead, the 5,000, so many things too. So I have some plans in place that I would like to take advantage of, but right now, until I know exactly what the state is going to do, it's a little premature, and we have so many other issues, the flooding, that I want to concentrate on right now. But somebody has to sit down with the legislators and say, this is important to our cities, and I'm sure everyone realizes that. Our public safety department, the cleanliness of our cities, all of that needs to be paid for somehow. So I'm hoping we impress upon the legislators, if you're gonna do something like that, what is the other thing that you're gonna do? And if it's just a tax shift, that's not gonna work for us.
I could really go into property taxes, but I know we don't have time for that. However, what are we gonna replace them with? You know, it's coming from the governor. It's not gonna come from us. It's not gonna come from the legislature. The governor is the one who is gonna decide what we're gonna do, and he's gonna make sure there's a ballot amendment in 2026. So he wants to eliminate all property taxes. And he wants to do that, he doesn't know yet. However, the only way it can be done is with a value-added tax, a VAT tax, or a sales tax of 12%. Am I in favor of that? No. However, am I in favor of property taxes? Absolutely not. Because when my house is paid for, I still have to pay the government every year. So property taxes are regressive. We do need to work on those, but we're not gonna have a say on how it's eliminated. The governor is gonna tell us how he's gonna do it and what the ballot initiative is gonna say. And then it's up for you guys to decide whether to vote for it or not. And it's gonna take 60% of the population to vote, to approve the amendment however he writes it. So that's the truth. We're not gonna have real say on how property taxes are replaced. They're gonna give us what they're gonna give us. We need to make sure that in the interim, we look at our budgets, that we tighten our belt, because we know something is coming down the road, we just don't know what yet. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to property taxes, and if they'll be replaced, and how they'll be replaced, and who's paying for it.
Can I add one more thing to that? I think advocacy is so important, and in the Volusia League of Cities, we will be sending someone up from the elected officials every single week while they're in session to advocate. This is why it will not work for us. So, you know, I'm very, very pro-advocacy.
Okay, sure, that's fair.
Sure. So I love advocacy. I love conversations and that networking and relationships. I think the governor got over 300,000 emails about SB 180, do not sign it, veto it. And he signed it. Didn't even announce he signed it. We just found out it was signed and into law. So they're gonna do what they wanna do in Tallahassee because they're not listening to us. And that's why you need to change the way you vote to elect the people who are gonna represent you at every level, city, county, and state. And it's your choice, but choose wisely. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, now you're up for the next question. And we're switching to the Beachside. So, is there value in a city-county parking authority in the Main Street area? If so, what are you gonna do to bring that to pass? Because it's been on the agenda for years.
Yeah. So I'm a small government guy. I don't believe in a lot of authorities. I don't believe in putting layers of bureaucracy where there don't need to be. Again, I grew up here. I remember when we could park anywhere and there was plenty of parking, opening the beach, driving on the beach, parking on the beach. There are a lot of issues. However, I will agree with Nancy here. We need to communicate and work with our city partners and the county to come up with a strategy, whatever we call it. I don't think it should be run by a city. I think because the Beachside is such a large area and it impacts multiple cities, I think 5 cities, that it needs to be a combined effort that makes sense for every city, not just Daytona, not just Ormond by the Sea, which is the county, or the Shores, or Ponce Inlet and the county. So we need to work together to do something that makes sense. So there's a lot of variables into that.
That question.
That question was really relating to the recommendation that came out of the committee in 2018, 2019, because the city and the county own so much land in the Main Street area together that they're trying to use for parking. So that was specifically not for the 5 cities on the beach side, but just to coordinate parking efforts in that core tourist Main Street area.
So I think we need to revitalize the core tourist area, and I think we need to revitalize it with growing businesses that will bring tourists in first before we worry about parking lots to park people that aren't here. We need to bring the tourists back to the core areas of Daytona Beach.
Okay.
And Mike, I agree with you too. You know, whenever I go around and people ask me, what's Daytona Beach Shores known for? I say tourism. That, the beach, it starts out at the beach. That's why I tried so hard when the seawalls came down, because we didn't have the tourists coming. That affects the restaurants across the street, the gift shops. It's just such a domino effect. So, speaking about the beach in particular, and I guess you're talking about downtown Daytona, I know that the first thing that we have to do is get that beach back where it is. We need to re-look too about the parking issue. I was a little bit disappointed to know that once we started that charging to get on the beach and the parking lots, that it was not the revenue that we need. So we need to step back, start again, and say, what do we need to get the tourist in here? And then, as Mike said, get those parking lots after that.
Of course, if you hear, I'm gonna just throw in something and we're gonna move on to the next question. If you talk to Main Street merchants, they will tell you the biggest reason they're not busy is because of parking. So it is a huge issue. So, okay. So I don't know what the situation is up and down the corridor, but in that corridor on Main Street, that is viewed as a big issue. So trying to tell them that, well, you need to get better businesses first and then we'll figure out the parking, that's not gonna work really. So anyhow, would you take a leadership role in getting Votran to run a Beachside to Beach Street trolley from Dunlawton to Granada? They're laughing because this is my pet request.
I've heard. So Ann, I would have to look into everything that I do. I check, I talk to people. I understand at one time that we did have that trolley here and that it wasn't a success. So I would need to go back. I'm on lessons learned, best practices. What lessons did we learn from it not being successful, and what can we do differently to make sure it is? So I would have to have all of that, and then I'd have to know too, if you can expand on it, who would pay for the service?
So they have a free beachside trolley that runs about 500,000 people a year, and it runs every 15 to 20 minutes. This is on the Anna Maria Island, I believe, and I've contacted Votran, I've not contacted Votran, but I talked to the director over there, and he said to run our loop, we'd need four pieces of equipment, and that we could do it from 7 in the morning to 11 p.m. I originally thought it needed to be free, and then it was pointed out to me that that would be competing with the Votran route, and so then we probably would need to charge for it. But it would alleviate a lot of the parking issues, because then if you're staying in the hotel at the Hilton, you don't have to unvalet your car to get it over to Beach Street. So it's a great symbiotic thing, and I just really want people on the county council to push it forward.
Okay, and I certainly would look into that. We had an organization that came into Daytona Beach Shores called Joyride, something similar. So it dropped you off at one hotel, brought you to another, to a restaurant. Unfortunately, that was not successful either. So I would have to peel it back a little bit to say, why isn't it successful, and what can we do to make it successful? Go back to that.
So when I wrote it as a kid, it was called Dolly the Jolly Trolley. Had a nice bell, and it worked. It was always full. And if we give free transportation from the hotels to Main Street, to Beach Street, to the Ocean Walk area, and we marketed it correctly, maybe the hotels could chip in a little bit, it would work. If we want to revitalize Beach Street, we need to get the tourists from the hotels off the beach to Beach Street. I know a lot of businesses are on Beach Street. We have the brand new CRA Esplanade, it's beautiful. We have Jackie Robinson Ballpark. We have a lot of things that tourists would love to do if they A, knew they were there, and B, had easy transportation. And I remember when my aunt and uncle owned the hotel in the Shores, we would come out of the front door, get on that trolley, we knew when it was going to be there, we would go to Main Street, we would go all over the place, stay all day, and then ride it back to the hotel in the evening if we didn't want to go to the beach when we were sunburned. But it is something that, $30 million a year for Votran, right? That's what the budget is, I think. We can find some money and work together to make it happen. Back to the parking. We're supposed to get in 7.2 million. We got, 1.5 million? Because the consultant said, big figures, you guys are gonna make a lot of money. It doesn't work that way. So we need 4 trolleys. You know what? We could probably do it with 2 or 3. We need to really look at it individually and if we decide that we want to do it, we got to do it and make it work. and we have to do it as efficiently as possible, and not for the high end, and not for the low end, but something that tourists will use to bring businesses where they need to be at.
And if it doesn't run at least every 20 minutes, it's not acceptable.
You got it. So every 20 minutes, you got it.
Sorry. Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. We're always searching for game changer projects. In fact, if I, as a member, a resident of Daytona Beach, hear this is a game changing project, I kind of run for the bathroom because it's just nauseating to hear that. But what are we're always searching for these game changers. Do you have any game changing projects in mind for the Beachside? And how would you implement them? How would you achieve them?
Well, let me tell you. I saw my first Amy Grant concert, my first John Denver concert, and my first Elton John concert, Pink Floyd, a few others at the Ocean Center. What happened to those big name concerts? What happened to those big events other than spring break, other than bike week, other than Black College Reunion? As a deputy sheriff, I was out there doing all those things. The Beachside was busy. The sand was packed 2 layers deep. When I was growing up here, again, spring break was spring break. I was here for the MTV generation. I scraped people off the floors and they fell off the balconies back in the 80s. But we need to go back to our roots. We need to look at what has been successful in the past. And I hear that Danny Wimmer is going to be over the Ocean Center booking those big acts now. So I worked at the Speedway as the director of sports operations for Advent Health. And I worked with Danny Wimmer for Rocktoberfest, I think it was called, yeah. So he's a very successful guy, and if he's gonna do this, I think he can make it work because he brings in big names. He's an international promoter, he's in California, and he gets the names. We need to go back to our roots, keep that Ocean Center filled up, not once a month, not twice a month, not just with cheerleaders, which I love, they're busy, they bring a lot of good business in, but with acts that draw people to Daytona Beach. If I heard that one of my acts was coming to Daytona Beach, I would book a hotel and stay on the beach side, even though I live on the rural west side of the city, just to be closer if I had a big name coming to the Ocean Center. The more names we get to the Ocean Center, the more business we'll bring to the beach side. So I don't know of any game changers other than getting back to our roots, doing what we were so successful in doing in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, besides MTV and spring break.
I don't know if I have any game changers, but I agree too. I think the Speedway's underutilized. I think we could be doing a lot more things there. And I know from coming from a NASCAR family, that's what brought us here the first year in 1972. So that brings the family in, they do activities there, and then they stay on the beach and activities at the beach. So I think we need to do more of that. I think we need to do more cleaning up of some of the things. And Daytona Beach Shores is guilty of this too. We have some empty buildings that we need to get those fixed up. Daytona needs to be a destination that when people say, I want to go there because of that. And I know the county council has been doing a lot of work on the Ocean Center. Matt, Jeff, thank you for everything you're doing there. I know it's going under renovations. It's going to be bringing in better acts. You brought in a dynamic director there in Lynn. So I'm hoping that things like that going forward would change people's views of where they want to vacation.
Okay, here's kind of an odd question. What would you like to see happen on the big empty George Anderson lot? And the corner of Main and A1A. The big parking lot that's been there forever.
Probably not another condo. Well, we're talking about, and I know it doesn't make the money that it could, but I'm not exactly familiar with that one. What was there previously?
I think it was a Dana McDonald's, because I know Linda worked there.
Okay, all right.
It was little businesses, and it
Okay.
came down many years ago. There was a big consolidation of the property, and now it's been a really poorly maintained, paid-for parking lot for decades.
So, I'm struggling with the same thing too, Ann. We had Treasure Island that was that monstrosity for 18 years that everyone asked, when's it coming down? When's it coming down? I'm so proud that when I was on the county council, we finally got that down. So that's an empty property with grass on it. It looks a lot better than it did before, but I don't like to see that property just standing there empty. I know where the old Hard Rock was going to go a little bit north of Silver Beach. That's still empty too. So we have some empty properties that we really need to, our economic development, maybe Team Volusia needs to look into bringing something to the city that would be worthwhile, that again might be a game changer and bring more things in.
Who owns that property?
The Anderson family.
Okay, so we buy it and we make it into green space. I'm not in favor of more parking spots. I am in favor of giving families a place to come off the beach and rest. I'm not quite sure I know where the property is, but I think we passed it on the way up here tonight. It did have a couple of bars in it in the past, McDonald's, a whole bunch of different things. But we really need to look at what's gonna make the core area of the beachside more successful. I don't want more parking, I don't want more places to hang out, more places to collect trash, so we really need to think about it. I'm in favor of green spaces. I see some of you shaking your heads, but you know, it may work, it may not. So I'm open for suggestions.
Oh, okay, all
Do you
right.
know how much the price tag is for beachfront property?
It's only money.
Okay, well, I guess the county had more than I thought of. I'm very familiar with how much beachfront property is in Daytona Beach shores, so I wish we had that much money to spend
Okay.
on that.
Well, everybody, you have to set priorities, I guess. Okay. Well, I guess this is kind of, we've sort of been talking about this. Without game-changing projects, how can the county support the redevelopment of a vibrant, clean beachside? And I think the general consensus seems to be get back to the basics. If you want to expound on that and say something more specific.
I think we have a beautiful beach. What we need now is the devastation that we had from Ian and Nicole. I'm so looking forward to, if anyone has gone south of Crappie Joe's, where we've started our renourishment project and we put in sea oats. I'm hoping that tide didn't take it. I'm gonna check this weekend. But that's what we need, the beach that we had years ago. And I think the county is working on that. I know we're gonna go from Sunglow north as far as we can with the funds we have, but I think we need that. And I've also been talking to both of our congressmen. I had multiple conversations with Michael Waltz and Corey Mills and now with Randy Fine. I want an engineered beach. I want to know that if anything happens to our beach and it's devastated again, that someone's gonna come in and refurbish it like they've done in Flagler and south of us. So a refurbished beach is something that I'm very interested in.
You know, we keep fighting Mother Nature on the beach, and you know, the tides are coming up, seawater's supposedly rising. But I remember growing up, the beach was 100, 200 yards wide, and I don't know what's changed. But we need to somehow protect the beach from getting washed out every time we have a storm, like we just did with the two storms that passed close to our shore. I know that we were just at Krabby Joe's the other day, and there's about a 5-foot cliff where all that renourished sand was blown in from the Corps of Engineers, which is a laudable project. We're not wasting money, we're fighting a battle that we're losing. So we need an engineered beach, and you know, I've been around the world working for the government. I've seen beaches where they bring in big coquina stone to shore up the near seawall area to protect the buildings and to hold sand. There are engineered pieces of concrete that look very nice. They can put them in the sand and then cover them with sand. There are all kinds of options that we really should look at that are fresh thinking, out of the box. Things that we've never done here before. But right now we're fighting a losing battle because every time we have a hurricane that comes near shore, it washes that sand back out to sea. So we would need a full-time dredger that is here all the time, pushing that sand back on the beach. It's something that we need to do if we're going to protect our beach and protect our beachside infrastructure. We need to protect it at all costs because we all saw what happened after Hurricane Nicole. It was devastating to condominiums, and when you live in a condominium, that's your home, right? You have no place to evacuate to, and when the underlayment, when that foundation is washed out and you're teetering and you get a knock on your door by the fire department or the building inspector saying, your building is condemned, all 22 stories of you, you gotta evacuate. We need not let that happen. We need to work with the beachside property owners. We need to work with the state because, you know, SB 180 was supposed to give them quicker permitting. It wasn't local permitting. It was the state that precluded a lot of those permits from happening quickly.
Okay, you're at time. Wanna
Bing.
bing? Thank you. Okay, wait.
Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is a long question, and it's almost a yes or no once you hear the question. Do you support opening the beach to driving to the public from ISB to auditorium? This is not an environmentally sensitive beach as defined by the state. Currently, food trucks, first responders, vendors, and anyone else who can get an event permit are allowed to drive on this section of the beach. Would you support letting the public drive on this section of the beach?
Absolutely, 110%.
Okay, cool.
Mine's gonna be a little bit longer. In Daytona Beach Shores, we have the most continuous beach driving of anywhere in Volusia County. So I support that there. Looking down to the beach, I know it's gonna be on the county council. I believe it's next month or month after, they're gonna talk about it again, but it's really a state decision. So as much as I would say that I would support that, and I support beach driving in Daytona Beach Shores. So.
Can I get 30
Okay.
seconds of my time back?
Okay,
Thanks.
sure.
How many of you grew up here? Right? Remember we could get down the beach at Beach Street and Ponce Inlet and just go north 10 miles an hour? It was an all-day picnic. Your family was together. You enjoyed the beach, the sounds of the surf. That's what I would like to happen in Volusia County again. However it happens, I would love that to happen. And we also had night driving, which was
Okay.
nice.
Okay, now, okay. Okay. How do you envision the county supporting the sesquicentennial of Daytona Beach? Daytona Beach is 150 years old
150 years old.
next year, so we're gonna have some parties. How do you think the county can support that?
I think that's fantastic. We had a 60-year celebration, and I was so proud of that. So 150 years. Monica, whoever's here from Daytona Beach, congratulations on your 150 beach years. Not sure. I'd have to look into why we want the county to support that. You know, when we had our 60-year anniversary, and we did a lot, we didn't reach out to the county to support it. So I'd have to see exactly what was involved in that, and why wouldn't it be self-supporting in Daytona.
Okay.
What's the date of the 150th?
July.
July.
26th.
What's happening in July of next year? We are 250 years old. So why can't we celebrate them both? County should be able to chip in a little bit of money so that we have a larger than life 150th and 250th for the city and the county. I think it works. I think we can do it without a lot of money. The city already has celebrations on Main Street, on the pier with fireworks on weekends. Friends of the Beat Band Shell. All those organizations should come together for a great big party to celebrate.
Okay. The county is a major contributor to First Step Shelter. Why doesn't it have a seat on the board? Do you think?
Good question. Last year was 400,000. This year's 300, and then 200. It's a $1.2 million ask for or give this next 5 years, I think. We should have a seat on the board. There should be more transparency with what goes on at the First Step Shelter. It's expensive. It's a laudable project. It keeps people off the streets, those that want to be off the street. So we pay a lot of money. We deserve a seat at the table. I don't know why we're not at the table, because we spend the most money, we give the most money, and we need to be responsible for that.
Okay, as far as a seat on the table, I would have to look into the reasons why were we asked and we could never get it. So, you know, before I answer, I want to make sure I check on the background. But as far as the First Step Shelter, we wholeheartedly support that in Daytona Beach Shores. We do not use it that much. Luckily, we don't have a homeless problem. But I am so happy to say last Sunday, only a handful of elected officials, Monica again was there. So the First Step Shelter that does so much good for our community, we had less than 5 elected officials there. You know, I was proud to be there and support Derek Henry and everything he does for that.
Okay, next question. Are you in favor, it's almost a yes or no, are you in favor of keeping the current millage rate for Volusia forever?
I believe it overwhelmingly passed on the last agenda that we put out to the residents, so I want to support. I'm all for our people speaking and the will of the people, and if that's something that they voted for, then that's where we should keep the millage rate to do that right now.
Unequivocally, yes. Absolutely. Without reservation.
All right, next question, and I think this is the last question. If it were to become known that the Belvedere Fuel Terminal wants to locate in Volusia County again, what would you do?
There is power in numbers. I know that the Ormond Beach area has been successful in forestalling it with help from the city, I guess, and the county a little bit. I know living in the Tobacco Farms Village, there is power in numbers, and we have been able to fight off a lot of development in the Tobacco Farms Village. So, yes, we should unite and try as best we can to keep that out of Ormond Beach. It has no place on the property where they want to put it. It's close to homes and recreational areas. And they've done a great job of keeping them at bay. I know we're working on something called Creek Crossing right now in the village. And people are saying, well, nothing's getting done. Yeah, it hasn't gone anywhere in 9 months because we are working against that project. So if we work together as a community against a project, we can keep it from being built, even if we have to go to court to fight it. And I'm not against filing a lawsuit or an injunction to stop overdevelopment or hazardous building near residences and recreational areas. If we let that happen in one place, it's going to happen all over the place. Because once the camel gets their nose under the tent, I know camels because I rode them in the Middle East, they get into the tent and they live in the tent. So once it's gone, folks, whether it's a piece of property or a right, it's gone forever, you'll never get it back. So fight hard to keep something from happening at the get-go, work together, work diligently, work respectfully, work from a place of knowledge, and you can get whatever you want, whatever you put your minds to, done. That's my opinion. That's what I've done my entire life. That's what I've done in the village for the past 38 years, and it seems to work. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
So, I would go back to, again, Mike talked about powers and numbers, but what I would do, I know you wanted specifics, and I think we talked a little bit around, so I want to give you specifics what I would do. As president of the Volusia League of Cities, I would ask every one of our cities to write a resolution in support of Ormond Beach that never comes back there again. You remember too, if we write a resolution from our city, every one of our elected officials, our legislators in the Senate and in the representative wants the buy-in and the relationship with the cities that we have. And if we write a resolution that says we do not want this, we are in support of Belvedere never coming here again, I think that speaks very loudly. Again, very big on advocacy, teach a class to residents wherever I can across the county and call it Civics 101. And I want you to know how much power there is in your voice. So we supply all of the names, addresses, and emails of every one of your legislators and say, please write letters. You vote for them. They want to hear from you. Power in the voice.
All right, thank you. So now we're gonna have, they each have a 2-minute close. And then if you wanna corral them afterwards, please feel free.
Mike, I went first, so I'll let you go first on the call.
Thanks, Nancy. I got to hand it to Nancy. She's, compared to what I've been through here, she's new, and I respect her. She moved into the city and became the manager of Daytona Beach Shores, which is great.
Mayor.
Mayor. What did I say?
Manager.
I'm sorry.
Make a
Mayor.
big difference in
Yes.
pay. I'll take
I'm
it.
sorry, you hire the manager. Yes. But I'm different. I'm a different cut of cloth. I'm an activist. If you want an activist county council member, if you want someone who is going to work hard and loud and upfront for you, who is not going to be bought and paid for by, not saying you are, just from me, I'm not going to be bought and paid for by developers. I'm a grassroots candidate. I'm taking small donations, and I am running the marathon. So I am here to sell myself to you. Please go to my website, go to my social pages, learn about me, learn what I've done in my life, learn the successes I've had. And I even owned a business for 13 years, and I sold it to a multi-million-dollar company when it was time to move on. So I have been in the public sector, I've been in the private sector, I've had to make payroll, pay taxes, I served overseas for the US government. I've done a lot in my 66 years this year. Holy cow, I'm old. But, you know, I have the experience to make things better in Volusia County. And I'm gonna fight for you guys. I'm gonna listen to what you're telling me. I'm gonna get up there and say, you know what? No, because the folks have told me they don't want this. Or yes, because the folks say they want this and this is why. I'm not gonna have any pet projects. My projects are gonna be your projects. Things that make your life better, things that make the community better, things that make it look cleaner, nicer, and we're gonna work with the cities so that we are organized in a stormwater project. You know, Daytona can greenlight a huge project. That's in Daytona. It's done in isolation, in a silo. They don't know what it does downstream to Port Orange, to the village. Ormond Beach, same thing.
You're at time?
All interconnected. Thank you, Mike Poniatowski, Volusia County Council.
Thank you, everyone. So when we talk about experience, so I've lived it for 7 years. You know, the devastation that we went through in Daytona Beach shores, everything that I saw when I saw people's seawalls crumbled and everything that those condos had to go through. So when you talk about action steps, and I just want to tell you how most people describe me, she gets things done. So I do have the experience in getting things done. Again, running for positions, if you put someone at the head of your Volusia League of Cities, of your Florida League of Mayors on the executive board, I think my experience speaks to itself that that's the reason I'm elected to those positions, because they know that I'll get things done. I want to talk to you a little bit about transparency. So when I first took over as mayor of Daytona Beach Shores, I wanted to have a forum of how I could reach my residents and find out what's on your mind. That's what it's about. Tonight, I want to know what's on your mind. So after we're done here, you tell me what's on your mind. But in Daytona Beach Shores, I started this coffee with the mayor once a month. So I had people come in and say, what's on your mind? How can we help you with that? It started out slow, but now we get about 150 people there. And let me tell you why we do that is because now I have our city manager there and every one of our department heads. So if you have an issue, I want you to get that answer as soon as you can. So I have those subject matter experts there doing that because it's your city. You are the residents of that city, so I want to make sure that everyone there is fully aware of what is going on. And I will continue to do that in Volusia County. I am a very, very hard worker, have already been around to a lot of the different cities, asking the people like I'm going to ask you tonight, what's on your mind? How can I help you? How can I be your voice? And that's what I want to be, is your voice on the Volusia County Council at large. Thank you.
Thank you. A big round of applause. A big round of applause for the candidates. And you can ask your question later in private. Thank you. I want to announce that there's a ribbon cutting at 9 a.m. down at the pier for the new completed arch on Main Street, the Main Street Arch. Everybody should run down there at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning and support that reopening. Thank you. Next month, our guest will be Sheriff Mike Chitwood, and this meeting is adjourned, and thank you all for coming.
And thank you so much for having this wonderful forum. Now can I get off?